My brain farted.
Let's just talk about cross-platform play first.
Yes.
Oh, across your platform.
Oh! Guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe. Hit subscribe below. Hit like even lower. Go to a comment and tell us how you're going to cross Keegan. And see you next time. Second level. Bye.
Make that big boss less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
Welcome back, guys. Another couch conversation here with the lovely Level 2 gamers.
Hi.
I just brushed your leg there. That was a little weird.
Because I'm not the ugliest.
We're going to talk about Microsoft today and Xbox more specifically. We're going to talk about the cross-play that they kind of hinted at that they'd be willing to do. Talk about kind of the future of what they've got in store when it comes to hardware / potentially software. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's start with crossplay.
Yeah.
I mean, what was your initial reaction when you saw that? I think Phil Spencer was the one who actually announced it.
It's a PR move. Because the way it was phrased was, I mean, we'd like to cross-play if other people are willing to do it. What's up, Sony? Ball's in your court. And it's one of those things where it's like,
We're not the bad guys.
yeah,
here.
we're not the bad guys here. We've opened up the doors to negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what Sony decides
Well,
to do.
you know when they announced it, it's only indie developers initially, no AAA titles.
Yeah.
So
But-
it's only indie developers. And I will say though, as somebody who I play Rocket League all the time with a bunch of people on different platforms, it sucks, Mr. Tubin Monkey, Seth, if you're watching this, I can't play with him because he's on Xbox, but I can play with my PC friends. So like, to me, that would be cool. I think Rocket League will be the first one that does it, and there's been rumors of that happening for a while now.
Yeah, I remember reading an interview with the Rocket League guys that they were like, we would love to have it on there, but Microsoft has so many stipulations with everything that we can't actually do it. And so I still think Microsoft is going to have those stipulations because they haven't necessarily said what they're all changing to allow that. It's just, we would like to have crossplay. And Sony's just like, yeah, we've been trying, homie. Like... I think it's really more so just a PR move, because after, like, that was still in the same announcement as the modular side of everything, wasn't it? So it was like, we want to have crossplay. Oh yeah, we're also going to have a newer Xbox that you can mod, and it's just like all these promises that make Microsoft sound like a better guy than they are.
I'm actually a big Phil Spencer fan. The more I hear about him, the more I see how he leads the company. Because you have to think about what he walked into.
Yeah.
The DRMs, I mean, he was there for that, but like heading up the DRM issues, the always on, the Connect, all that kind of stuff.
Sure,
like,
but a fucking child could have taken over that company and realized that those were all garbage business choices.
But you have to understand though, in a big business, it's not that easy to say, hey, we're gonna
I know.
clean slate it.
And
And
dislike about Phil Spencer is that he appears to be trying too hard. Like
I
he
get
comes
tired
up
of
on
his Twitter
stage
account.
with like a little gamer T-shirt and stuff, and he won't wear a suit to the Microsoft E3 conference. He always wears like a little limbo shirt or something, and it's almost just like, I'm with you, gamer.
Well,
this is like this fucking 50-year-old dude.
well,
that's
though
just
there's an interview with on IGN. They do a series where it's I think called Unfiltered, where they just sit down with people from various companies and talk. And
Is Phil Spencer, because that would have been a really good one.
Phil Spencer
Unfiltered.
is not one of them yet, but they were talking. I can't remember who the guy was, but basically they said Phil Spencer is a giant child, like a gamer. Like he's kind of like
you.
the guy. Well, no, what's his face with the Nintendo? Can't think of his name right now. Iwata.
Shigeru Miyamoto?
No, Iwata. Like he's a gamer and a businessman at the same time, which is what I think you need to run a company like this.
Yet I
He
respect
really
him way
is.
more than I do Phil Spencer, because he actually seems like he tries to run a business and doesn't. He doesn't seem like he's trying too hard. Like, he has shitty writers who make bad jokes for him. But Phil Spencer, just like Tom said, comes up and is like, "What's up, guys? I just did a fucking cake stand in the back, and I'm here to talk to you about modular Xboxes and crossplay. Sony, suck a dick." And like, whereas the Nintendo guy, Reggie, is just like, "Hey guys, you know."
Saying that though, Andrew, what's his face from Sony, is kind of a prick.
Yeah.
I like Jack a lot more when Jack was on stage.
Which one's the British dude?
Andrew?
Yeah.
See, I like Andrew.
I don't.
He speaks great Japanese.
Yeah, he does. But like, there's something. At least he doesn't seem insincere. He genuinely does seem like a kind of a business nerd guy. But Jack used to make me laugh a lot more because he got it. I think there was a certain level of kind of in-jokiness that he was very self-aware of all that stuff.
But
There's a certain level of sort of fraudulence about Mr. Spencer that I
And-
can't get on with. I'm not saying he's doing a bad job. He's doing a good job.
No.
For fucking Microsoft, he's doing a great job.
I just think
I just
that
don't like him.
everything is a PR. Like, right now, there hasn't been enough solid... Like, everything that we're talking about today is I mean, yes, there's an announcement, but, like, everything we're talking about is speculation. And so, like, I just feel like he was, like, 1, 2, 3 of these things, and then... It was just like, we're really good guys, and now we have several months until E3 where people can talk about how good a guy's like Microsoft is, because Sony hasn't allowed cross-platform play yet, and it's
So
like...
I feel like it's turning into Phil Spencer thing, but remember E3 when they announced backwards compatibility with the Xbox?
Mm-hmm.
Think about engineering, what they had to do probably to make that happen.
Prior to that, they'd said they could never make that happen.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm sure Phil basically said, we're going to find a way. I'm going to give you the resources to make this happen, because he can, because he's obviously...
It was probably one
so.
engineer guy who wanted to play Dark Souls, and he was like, I want to figure out how to reverse engineer this, and...
But like that's
Dark
that's a
Souls.
prime example though. Sony is yet to do something with, like, we have PlayStation now, but fuck that game.
So I
hate
think
that.
I think that it's not as simple as that. I think the infrastructure is way too different between the PS3 and the PS4 that it physically cannot happen. Whereas I think the Microsoft consoles, from what I understand, are on a closer infrastructure than the Sony ones are.
I know, but what I'm saying though is that they came out and said, hey, we're not doing it. Phil kind of said, we're gonna do it. Like that.
Yeah.
He was driving force for that. From what I've read in interviews and stuff, was he was in every single meeting for something like that. So
And I will say they're doing a good job. I mean, they had several decent sized games.
they've also
happen on the
beaten Sony in sales
cross-platform.
in a couple months. They beat them in January
But
and
do you think
in
it
March.
genuinely was a case of he really wanted to have backwards compatibility, or do you think it was a case of
We want
what's
more
something
money.
we can say at E3?
Well, it's not
that's
just saying.
going to-
He actually did it. That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
I know, but there's the reason behind it.
So there's two things I think happen. One, I think it's part of it is it's a PR move because Microsoft is behind by far.
Mm-hmm.
So I think part of that is getting back on the good grace of gamers, because when the console launched, I was an Xbox guy. I love my 360. I would have gone Xbox One, but as soon as it said DRM, always on, I don't have an issue with the Kinect. I love the Kinect to death. Like, I think it's a cool piece of hardware, but I understand why people don't like it. Like, it was optional on the 360 because it came out later on. And I think they lost so many trust in gamers when they started talking about, oh, you can control your TV, your living room with all this stuff. I'm like, we don't care.
Mm-hmm.
We want games. And I think Phil is finally taking it back to the game side of the gaming system, not the fucking home entertainment side.
Yeah, I definitely think they're on the right path, and I think that reverse compatibility is good.
It's just disingenuous.
I don't think so.
I don't like big
So-
business people anyway.
We're
Just
like
in
to
general.
disagree. That's why we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
I think that there needs to be changes on all fronts, but I don't necessarily think that any of the three major ones. I mean, Nintendo, I don't actually know what the fuck they're doing.
See, I don't think
anymore.
they know what they're doing sometimes.
Microsoft, like, yes, they are trying, and they are probably, in terms of, like, the grand scheme of, like, bullet points, they have more things checked off.
I mean, they
right now.
redid their UI. Like, the only thing that's missing right now is a hardware refresh.
Yeah.
Like,
But, I mean, I think every single major console developer, or, like, the main three, started this generation off in a pit, and they're just now getting to the point where, like,
Scrambling.
the PS3 and the Xbox 360 were at launch. Like, those were solid damn consoles. And, like, you have to think, there haven't really been any major, like, title exclusive or console exclusives at this point. Like, we're 3 years in, and Uncharted is finally coming out. We're you know...
well, you had Halo 5 on the Xbox.
Yeah, which
I mean,
was a bomb. Like,
no, the multiplayer in that
well, the
was
game...
the best multiplayer.
Sure, but the game,
the
I think...
campaign was iffy.
Yeah, and I don't believe that game sold as well as previous
I
iterations
can't
of
remember
Halo.
what the number was, but
I don't recall it even getting released.
oh, I do.
So
I
the
remember when
hype
it happened
machine
because
must have been on slow
I almost bought an
motion.
Xbox for it.
So you have then you have in 3 years you have one console exclusive that's coming out. Like
One good one.
I still feel like there are
Well, Rare Replay was. I mean, it's pulling
that's-
from the
I
well,
wouldn't-
but
yeah.
that is another. It is technically a console exclusive.
But still,
it would
like
make me buy a console.
3 years into like the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, I feel like we had way more.
And this is across the
AAA
board
titles
because even
where-
Sony doesn't have, like you're saying, Uncharted's after being delayed, what, 4 times, 3 times?
Yeah. But like I feel like, I mean, yes, they're all trying, but at this point, like, it's 3 years into the console generation, and they're already like, here are these major iterations that we're making on our consoles. Whereas like the Slims and the Xbox 360 Elite, like that was cool because it had an HDMI port. Neat.
Yeah, remember the days when you didn't have an HDMI port? I had one of those.
That was stupid. I did too.
And you had the little flip between composite and component. God, that was so dumb.
But like, I just feel like this console generation is already fighting was at the bottom of a really steep hill with Dark Souls characters on it, and
Do you think they rushed it?
I don't think so.
Well, we were just talking earlier. There was only 7 years between the PS3 and the PS4, whereas the PS2 came out in early.
But you have to remember how fast technology advanced in the last few years. Because, like an example, the Xbox 360 has 512 megabytes of RAM. At some point, the developers are going to need more resources to do bigger things. So
but they still don't even have the resources to do shit with.
When they released the PS3, though, they also said that it was going to have a 10-year life cycle. They guaranteed it. They literally said this will be 10 years.
Oh, it's still going. Just because there's new consoles doesn't mean they haven't. Because they tend to run it for at least.
I mean, you can feel them kind of putting the nails in the coffin of the older ones.
And they've got to. I mean, it makes smart business
There's
sense.
no way these consoles last for 5-6 years because, like, Xbox 360 can run things at 900p, maybe 30 frames a second. Fallout 4 tanks to, like, 10. And then, like, the PS3 that can run or PS4 that can run most things at, like, 1080p, but still only 30 frames a second. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, like, they're adding new things to it 3 years in. But what is that going to look like through the rest of the generation? Like, are we at the end of that 10-year cycle between things? Are we at an iterative type of a thing where it's every year you get like a new
Are we going towards a one console generation? Because I think that'd be really cool.
And but how does that look as well? Because like I know that there are a lot of people who just bought consoles. Like you are pretty much just shitting on their purchase. And I mean I understand they're guaranteeing a $400 SKU when everything is going down to $300, $250, whatever. That is like a good business practice to keep a new console there, even if it doesn't do much. So yeah, like I don't really know how this console generation looks. Like, do we do financing things like we do with phones now, where like you pay sales tax and like the first 3 months up front, and then you pay it off and you get a yearly upgrade type of a thing, or do we do like like a trade-in type of a deal, where I mean, it's like okay, you trade in your old console every year.
Like with a phone, it feels like that's you already have that in your pocket, but it's kind of cumbersome to take, to maybe ship your machine out to get it replaced.
And is a console something that necessitates a yearly upgrade? Like my phone, like I have like this thing that can do so much stuff for me, whereas what does my console necessarily do for me?
Do you remember a few years ago when right before they launched the new generation consoles, people were like, are people going to buy video game consoles anymore? Like you've got these mobile devices that are coming out that are more and more powerful. You've got PCs that are able to iterate throughout the life, which I think is where this concept comes from. Yeah. Is PC gaming is a large market, but I don't like PC gaming for a certain reason, is the fact that it confuses me a lot of times when it comes to specs, what I need. And if you start doing it with modular console updates, like can I do that myself? Do I have to have Sony do it? Do I have to have Microsoft? Like how would it work?
ESD safe.
Like how would this all work? And to me, that it fragments your market so much that
de-simplifies what is essentially a very simple.
Yeah, you buy a box, you own that box for X number of years. When the new box comes out, you get the new box. X number of years.
That's what I love the most about consoles.
And if that's what it becomes, I'm just going to go PC gaming fully. Like if I am going to be spending money
especially if you plug a controller in.
Yeah, like if I'm going to be spending money on things, I'm going to spend something on like a dope ass graphics card. And I'm going to spend it on, like, a shit ton of, like, RAM and hard drive space. And I'm just going to have a bomb-ass console that I can just change a $200 part every 5-6 years. And then I got another thing that does that. So, like, if it goes down this weird thing where they're thinking that we're going to upgrade every single year, I'm just going to give up on it.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be every year. But
like,
yeah.
I mean, but you know what I mean. Like, even if I still have to try to look at iterating every 3 years for a console... That's some bullshit.
Do you think this is... Because Microsoft, one of the pushes they've been trying to do, and they've been saying it for a long time and never actually did it, is getting PC and Xbox games, Xbox platform closer together, which...
I mean, they're starting that with the Xbox video game marketplace or whatever, where like they're having like the cross-play with like... But what happens is that it has to be like a DRM locked. Like there's so many stipulations with if you buy that version, and it has to be locked at like 30 frames a second.
The biggest release they were touting that for was Fable's Legends, which is
now it's Quantum Break. And they're trying to do like the Lara Croft version, but the thing is that game looks gorgeous, but they want to lock it to like 30 frames a second.
But what I'm saying, do you think that this iteration of a console idea is based on them trying to get closer to PC, and this helps them then make games that work on both
always
platforms?
Trying to get closer to the PC platform with the Xbox. I think it's something that they lust after. They want it to.
I mean, the Xbox name comes from DirectX, which is from a PC technology.
Yeah, I mean
that's all. That's honestly that's all a console is a PC with a unique OS on it.
And now think like if we're doing iterations, what are we going to start calling everything? Like, is it going to be like iPhones where it's the
numbers? Are you going to do
Xbox
years?
One, Xbox 6, Xbox 3, PS4, PS5?
I could see years potentially, like 2016 PlayStation.
Like
PlayStation 2016.
laptop models, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So I don't know, like I think it's weird territory, and like of course this is all speculation.
Yeah, I mean, clearly from our discussion, it's a very controversial topic, at least among us, where it comes to like, I'm kind of like you. I mean, I didn't pay for my console. I got it for Christmas one year, but my parents bought me this $400 box that I kind of feel like when I heard these rumors of the PlayStation 4.5 and all this coming out, like I was like, I feel like you just stabbed me in the gut. Like, yeah. Companies should stay behind the product they make. And obviously you can't stay behind it forever, but it's kind of like, so the example I used with the iPhone back in the day, when you signed a 2-year contract, I knew I was getting my phone for 2 years. My phone needs to last 2 years. I got an iPad. I knew my iPad should last at least a year until a new one comes out. I bought the third generation iPad. The iPad 4th generation came out 7 months later. I was pissed because I expected to last a year, and I think that's part of this is game consoles have always lasted years. That's kind of the expectation versus like a phone. It's always been a 2-year contract.
We've done it since like the PlayStation 1 where that lasted. I mean, they were making games like 12 years out like into that. So
I think it's the expectation that's already been set, and the question becomes, or the question is, do we change our expectations or do we continue with what we've got going on and just?
Well, they tried the same thing with the launch of the Xbox. Is they wanted to try and change the status quo of how consoles work with the DRM and always on and that kind of stuff. And you saw how that worked.
shit the bed real
So
hard.
I do kind of feel like if nothing else, gamers won't let that happen. They won't let it get to a point where they're getting abused with that sort of, frequent update that updates everything that you own that you've spent so much money on. I don't think they'll let that happen. I think they'll get a backlash if they try it.
Oh yeah. I agree 100% with that, and I can see the positive out of it, the fact that you can get newer hardware, and I do like the idea of getting a more powerful device, because like we said, look at the Xbox 360 has 512 megabytes of RAM. Like even if I could upgrade the RAM inside of it, like if it's something as small as that, like the GPU, yeah, that's kind of trickier, but something modular like that.
Yeah.
Like those small things I could do myself and not have to be a super techie person to do it.
Yeah.
I would like something like that, but if I have to replace processor or a GPU, I'd be like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah, so I think it's all interesting. So
that's our thoughts on Microsoft and the state of their union.
What do you guys think about a lot of this modular stuff and kind of like where Microsoft is, or just consoles in general? Let us know in the comments, and continue to watch this series to see what our thoughts are on some of the other big contenders.
We got one on Nintendo and Sony that you can check out. So thanks for watching, guys. As always, welcome to the second level. Bye. Do you guys know that we may not be a big channel, but we decided, just because we wanted to create a Spreadshirt account, so you can get some merch by clicking the link up here or down in the description. It is level2gaming.spreadshirt.com. Keegan, put the link somewhere.